Have you ever heard sounds in your walls that you just couldn't explain? Well, what I am about to tell you will make you question everything you think you know about the safety of your own home. This is the story of a woman who discovered someone had been living inside her walls for months without her knowing, and the terrifying truth of how common this actually is. Picture this. You're lying in bed at night, and you hear scratching sounds coming from inside your walls. Most people would assume it's mice or maybe the house settling. But for one woman in South Carolina, those sounds turned out to be something far more sinister. What she discovered would change her life forever and expose a hidden reality that's happening right now in homes all across the country. It all started with small things. Items going missing from her kitchen. Food disappearing from her refrigerator overnight. Her electric bill mysteriously spiking despite no change in her daily routine. She even started finding strange, muddy footprints in her basement that definitely weren't hers. For weeks, she convinced herself she was just being paranoid, that there had to be logical explanations for everything. But then came the night that changed everything. She was jolted awake by what sounded like someone walking around upstairs, while she was sleeping in her bedroom on the ground floor. Her blood ran cold as she remembered. She lived alone. Shaking, she grabbed her phone and called the police, certain someone had broken into her house. When the officers arrived, they searched every room, every closet, every possible hiding spot. They found nothing. No signs of forced entry, no evidence anyone had been there at all. The police left, and she was alone again with her racing thoughts and the growing certainty that she was not losing her mind. The next morning, she decided to investigate the walls herself. She had noticed that one section of drywall in her basement looked slightly different from the rest. The paint seemed a little fresher, and there were small nail holes that didn't match the pattern of the surrounding wall. Armed with a hammer and her phone's flashlight, she carefully made a small hole. What she found inside that wall defies belief. There was a narrow space, barely wide enough for a person to fit through, that connected to a larger cavity behind her water heater. And inside this hidden space, she discovered blankets, food containers, empty water bottles, and even a small, battery-powered radio. Someone had been living in the walls of her home, coming and going through an access point in her basement that she had never even noticed. But here's where the story gets even more disturbing. Security footage from a neighbor's camera later revealed that a woman had been entering and leaving her house regularly through a tiny basement window, always during the day when the homeowner was at work. This intruder had been living in her walls for an estimated 4 months, surviving on food stolen from her kitchen and listening to her daily routines through the thin barriers that separated them. The psychological impact of this discovery was absolutely devastating. Every sound she had dismissed, every missing item she had blamed on her own forgetfulness. Every moment she had felt like she was being watched in her own home, it all suddenly made perfect, terrifying sense. The violation of her privacy and safety cut deeper than any burglary ever could have. This chilling phenomenon actually has a name. It's called frogging, derived from the idea of someone hopping from house to house like a frog on lily pads. Unlike a typical break-in, froggers don't steal large items or cause obvious damage. Instead, they live quietly in unused spaces, attics, crawl spaces, basements, taking only what they need to survive, and often going completely undetected for months or even years. Law enforcement experts say frogging is far more common than most people realize. Crawl spaces, attics, basements, and even the spaces behind walls in larger homes provide perfect hiding spots for people seeking shelter. In most cases, the inhabitants choose homes where people work regular hours, leaving the house empty during predictable periods. The signs of a frogger are often subtle and very easy to dismiss. Food disappearing in small amounts. Slight, unexplainable changes in your utility bills. Items moved or missing. Strange sounds in the dead of night. Doors or windows you find open that you're sure you closed. That creepy feeling of being watched in your own home. Most people explain these things away rather than considering the terrifying possibility that someone might be sharing their living space. One of the most chilling aspects of frogging is how completely vulnerable it makes homeowners feel. Your home is supposed to be your sanctuary, the one place in the world where you should feel completely safe and secure. Discovering that someone has been secretly violating that space, watching your routines, and living alongside you without your knowledge creates a trauma that extends far beyond the initial shock. And the woman from South Carolina wasn't the only victim. Similar cases have been documented all across the country. In New York, a man discovered someone living in his attic after noticing his food was constantly disappearing. In California, a family found evidence that someone had been living in their crawl space for over a year. Each case follows a similar pattern. Small, strange signs ignored until the undeniable truth finally comes to light. So, how can you protect yourself from becoming a victim of frogging? Start by securing all possible entry points to your home. That means checking your basement windows, attic access points, and any crawl spaces on a regular basis. Install security cameras that cover all exterior access points, not just your front door. Pay close attention to your utility bills and investigate any unexplained increases. And most importantly, trust your instincts. If something feels off about your home environment, it probably is. Take those strange sounds and missing items seriously. Document anything unusual and don't dismiss your own concerns as paranoia. Your safety and peace of mind depend on staying alert to the possibility that the impossible might actually be happening. The next time you hear unexplained sounds in your walls, remember this story. That scratching might not be mice. Those missing snacks might not be your forgetfulness. And that chilling feeling of being watched in your own home might be more than just your imagination. Because sometimes, the person you should fear most isn't the one trying to break into your house, but the one who's already living inside your walls, waiting and watching from the shadows you never even thought to check. Thanks for watching. If this story made you think, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content that uncovers the hidden truths around us.